Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of a walkthrough here Monday morning at KDD. We are doing some 7.3 heads here with Parker. And so right now it's floating and getting ready to run the program, so it floats and centers the pilot up. And then it's going to start spinning real fast here in a minute. And so these are, we put new valve seat inserts in every single 7.3 head that we do, a heavy duty valve seat insert. And so that's a blank now. It's going to go through and machine the valve seat angles. See it here. So you can hear some of the changes as what we're now doing is blending the valve seat profile into the parent material, or the cast iron material. And so this machine has been an absolute game changer here from our buddies over at Sturdy. That's basically a perfect valve seat every time. Many of you guys know Parker. Parker's been with us for a long time and is our cylinder head extraordinaire here. So how long does that take?
That was 1 minute and 16 seconds.
A minute and 16 seconds per seat. So it's it takes a little bit longer. You know, this earlier style cutter here does a really good job too, but it's hard to get it with the really hard valve seats that we use. It's a little bit harder to keep everything concentric. That machine is what they call a single point cutter, similar to like a Newen style machine. Anyway, they work really good, and we got a whole run of 7.3 heads here that we're doing. These have gone through a few different operations already. These start as of course, just a raw factory casting, and we go through and machine them for seats and guides, press the seats and guides in, which I think is let's see, which op are you guys on over here now? We're on our resurfacing op, so these already have the seats in them, and then these are getting resurfaced and O-ringed, and then these will be going over to Parker for valve job next. Let's see, it looks like Wade here is doing some piston machining. These will be for an upcoming engine build. See, we have more 7.3 heads here going through the works. These are blocks that are either ready for honing or ready for machining. We'll do our block work in either one of these two CNC machines. But these are all blocks that have been prepped and qualified. Each one gets one of these, basically a birth certificate that stays with the engine. So we got a few different projects here. We got our next engine build here in our cylinder hone. Let's see, this is a 6-liter Power Stroke. So this has already gone through the CNC process for bore and deck. You can see we've got our torque plate on here for honing. And so we'll hone and get these things all to size. The torque plate simulates the stress from the head studs, because if you don't use a torque plate, when you torque the head to the block, it'll distort the cylinder out around by as much as on a 6-liter, a couple of thousandths, 1 or 2 thousandths. On a 6.4, they're actually really exaggerated because it's a bigger head stud, and it'll distort the cylinder walls like 3 thousandths. And so, if you only have 3 or 4 thousandths piston to wall clearance and it distorts the cylinder walls 3 thousandths, you can see you can have some problems pretty quickly. So let's go see what Doyle has going in our crankshaft area. Looks like we're spinning up a 6-liter crank, making up our bob weights. We'll do a deep dive video on balancing, kind of an A to Z balancing video here real soon. But basically the bob weight simulates the weight that, to make up the weight of the piston and rod assembly. And so from the factory, they come, balanced, pretty close. Usually, sometimes there's Randy Neal, who makes our CWT balancer here. As Randy Neal likes to say, sometimes the factory has a sense of humor when it comes to balancing. But definitely anytime you make a change, you machine the piston and now it's lighter, you put in a different connecting rod, now it's heavier, potentially, you'll need to adjust the weight on the crankshaft. So just like balancing a tire, you can see here's some factory balancing holes. And so we'll get our bob weights to reflect the new piston and rod changes. This goes through and records, and we actually keep, keep this data. So anytime we are need to come back and double check what the bob weight and the balance was on your engine, we can go back for any engine we've ever done and calculate what the bob weight was, what's the new description, the new combination, and see how it goes. So, but anyway, Doyle right here is making up the bob weights, and you do that by adding and changing out the weights here, and so that's kind of how that works. We'll get the bob weights bolted on here, and then Doyle will get this thing spun up. And kind of like balancing a tire, it'll tell you need to add weight or remove weight. We'll do a deep dive video. Later. We're over here at our prep station now. So these are some 7.3 heads. We've got a cart of 7.3 heads going through the works here. So these will go through, and get qualified. We'll look for any, like this one here is probably going to get vetoed. We won't use something like that where it's got a big, ugly broken off there. And so we'll go through and do all the magnafluxing and make sure, no cracks, no issues. We'll go through and qualify them, repair any threads that need repaired, pressure tests, etc. We'll get all the gasket surfaces all cleaned up and just make sure these are a good usable piece. Same with the blocks. Here's a block here that's going through magnafluxing, pressure test, etc. And we'll go through, and this will go through our cleaning process and get any rust and everything out of the water jackets and stuff once we qualify it and make sure that it's a good usable core. We'll check all the mains, we'll check, lifter bores, look everything over and make sure there's no issues there. These are blocks that are ready for prep here. This is onto our final wash area over here. It looks like we have a 6.0 block here. That's all finished up, ready to go. And this thing's going to go through our kind of a two-step cleaning process. So we'll actually use our solvent tank here. This has a grate on it that raises and lowers, and so it'll lower the block down, we'll raise the block up, and then we take brushes by hand. And it kind of takes a little bit longer doing some of this by hand, but that's kind of the feature, not the bug. So we'll go through and kind of swab everything and clean all the oil holes out, and then we put it in our final clean tanks. And so these, we don't do any pre-cleaning, so these never see diesel oil, these never see grease and sludge and stuff. These are just used for washing off the machining chips and a little bit of honing oil. But the final clean is definitely one of the most important parts. Once they're all clean, then they'll come in here to Andrew. Andrew looks like is getting ready to coat some pistons. So got a run of pistons going through here now. I know they're machining more pistons, so they'll be bringing you some shortly.
Sweet.
So cool deal. Yep. And we've got some of our inventory, some of our crank inventory, connecting rod inventory, and of course, camshafts, DCR pumps, ARP studs, all that good stuff. Here's some cylinder heads in stock ready to ship and a few other orders that we have prepped up ready to go. Icon heads ready for machining. Let's see, a lot of Hot Shots oil here. Hot Shots have been great to us. This is our packing station. What are you packing up, Noah?
I got a 6.7 crank that's about to go into a builder series.
Ah, cool. Okay, yep. So this is our packing station. We actually had so many damage claims that UPS gave us this 2-part foam system, which is pretty cool. You're getting ready, you're close to using the foam gun? Cool. So this is actually pretty cool. This is how we'll package anything over like 20 pounds. So Noah is tucking in our wrapping here. And then when we take our foam gun, this is actually pretty cool. It will foam and fill in the voids there, and then it expands. And so we've got kind of a process. We clean the nozzle, and then I'm going to let her rip. And so this foam, you can see it starting to expand down here. So this does a really good job at filling in all the cracks and all the voids, and makes for a really nice, secure way to transport and ship stuff, because obviously you can't have stuff moving around in the box. Shipping diesel parts is hard. We're trying to ship a 75-pound crankshaft and get it from A to B without getting damaged. And this foam machine has definitely been a lifesaver and has really helped cut down on damage claims with UPS. So thanks. Let's see, then here in assembly, let's see, we have more cylinder heads, and then let's see, a shipment of valves that showed up. We've got Dave here is our head assembly extraordinaire. We've got cylinder heads here. These have gone through all the machining processes. So these are resurfaced, O-ringed, valve jobbed, final washed, all ready to go. You can see these have our updated polished valve springs and stainless nitrided valves. So Dave has got these assembled and getting ready to, we've already QC'd them. So they've already checked. We checked valve seal on every single set of heads that we do. So once they're assembled, we'll go through and pull a vacuum on the ports and make sure, that our vacuum gauge pulls, to sufficient vacuum. Dave's getting these in our rust inhibitor coating, aka WD-40, on the cylinder heads, and then these will get boxed up and ready to go out the door. So we've got a few cast iron heads, working to build more inventory back up here, but these are cast iron heads that are in stock, ready to go. Aluminum heads, we've got our CNC ported icon heads here, and then some of our as cast, or I think we call them the street port heads, here now. So I've got a few different icon heads ready to go. We have, let's see, looks like a 6.4 here. This is one of our stage 2 builds. So it's got our icon heads, stage 2 camshaft, either ARP or P1 head studs. Both are great options. We love both those guys. So this one here is finishing up, and we'll get ready to get boxed up here. We've got our boxing area here ready. Looks like we've got another 6-liter finishing up, ready to get boxed up. We've got a 6.7 ready to get boxed up. We've got another 6-liter build that just came out. The paint's still drying, and then once the paint's dry, we'll get it bagged up. These are the next engine builds in line, ready to go. Let's see, Kevin's got, let's see, a 6.4 here on the stand and a 6.0 on the stand, and we've got a few parts ready to go in those. And let's see, got some camshafts here that I think these will be getting ready to go get. We'll weld these. 6.7s, of course, don't have an issue. We probably don't need to weld them, but we do anyway. Of course, we weld all the 6.0s and 6.4s also. Here's Brian's engine. Had a little bit of a holdup on some rings for Jelly Built, but the rings are on the way, and we'll have them here shortly and get this thing knocked out the rest of the way. So we've got our Molly Motorsport forged aluminum pistons. Let's see, these are Carrillo rods. We've got a camshaft, actually from camshaft that Brian Gray developed. And let's see, then all the machine work. Of course, this is the Hypermax CGI block with their bed plate. And so this is this one will be, I think, a pretty good piece when we get it back for Brian. Let's see, what's this one, Kevin?
That is another 7.3 level 2.
Okay. Yep, so here's a level 2, our Sportsman Series 7.3 on the stand, getting ready to go together. So we'll get all the parts laid out for that guy. These are our Carrillo rods. Then we'll get all of our pistons and everything lined up to go in here. Of course, we've already got the crank and cam in it. And this will come with our girdle here, and then a ARP or P1 main stud. And so this has been a pretty good combo. You can see here where we weld the camshafts on them, just to just make sure the gear, especially on 7.3s, they're kind of known for the gear will want to walk off the end of the camshaft a little bit, and your cam sensor basically runs out of clearance, and it'll throw a code for a cam sensor. And so just to prohibit that or prevent that, we just TIG weld the gears on them, and we don't put much heat in them. You can actually pick it up by the gear when we're done welding. We don't put any heat in them, and just kind of a little fusion weld there just to keep the gear in place. So anyway, that's what we've got going on this week at Kill Devil Diesel, and we'll see you next time.